Round 12 Super Rugby, guys. How good is Super Rugby this season? Guys, again, my usual prediction video, so I'll give you a preview and prediction of all 5 games this coming weekend, and then stick around till the end and I'll summarise my predictions. So game number 1, the Blues versus the Western Force at Eden Park. I suppose, firstly, you look at the Blues. I think their defence is pretty solid. They're showing some physicality and some line speed there. Their attack it still seems quite one-dimensional up the middle, plenty of physicality, enough to test teams, but for me, I just don't think they're shifting the ball as well as they need to into space currently, and thereby, they're just not the real imposing attacking threat that they could be compared to other sides anyway. I think if you look at the Western Force, I'm gobsmacked by how good the Western Force are this season. Obviously, a drawn game against the Hurricanes over in Perth. Wasn't a lot in that, but look, they've been outstanding. And I think the big thing for me there with the Western Force is the accuracy, particularly their attack. They bring that physicality, then they're shifting the ball really well into space, inside, outside balls where they're passing, kicking, a really clinical looking side. So I think they're definitely finals contenders. This game, look, it's hard to call, but the home ground advantage at the Eden Park at Auckland will certainly help the Blues. And I just think that Blues side is capable of just holding out that Western Force. So I'm going to go the Blues to win that at home by 5 points. So let me know your thoughts on that prediction down below, guys. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, please show some support for the channel. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share the videos with mates, and yeah, I'm enjoying the banter down underneath, so keep that going, guys. Game number 2, the Fijian Drua versus the Queensland Reds in Suva. Now, that is going to be an absolute belter, a classic, firstly in the Fijian conditions. Yeah, you don't know in Suva if it's going to be belting rain or humidity and a hot sunny day, but moisture on the rugby ball. It's just awesome, the games in Fiji, isn't it, guys? As usual, the Fijian Drua, they are what they are. They tend to play the Drua way, genuine athletes, fast, physical. They come up, they tackle hard, they run hard. So I think they'll certainly bring that, and as I've said before, the Drua, they break one tackle, they offload. They can offload 3-4 times and score a 100-metre try quite easily. So they're a dangerous, dangerous side, even though they haven't been going as well as they would have liked at Super Rugby this season. I think you look at the Reds, and I guess probably the talking point there is, let me know your thoughts on this. Les Kiss, I have been phenomenally impressed by him. Not just his coaching ability, but the way he communicates and conducts himself around the camera as a leader. Phenomenally good coach, I observe anyway. Look, the Reds, they're just playing really good structured rugby, aren't they? Harry Wilson, Fraser McWright and the loose forwards, physicality up front, and then they're just shifting the ball really well, accurately into space. They're kicking when it's on. They're making really good game decisions. So they're a quality side. I just think, even though it's a home game for Fiji, we just haven't seen enough from the Fijians yet. When the pressure comes on, they're still not quite taking the points when they need it in those big moments, and ultimately that's lost them a few games to date. And look, particularly the Queensland Reds, and I just think, even though, again, in Fiji, Les Kiss will have a pretty well thought out plan on how to take on the Drua. So, guys, I'm going the Queensland Reds to win this by 10 points, guys. So, yeah, will be interesting. Next game, the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs down in Wellington. Yeah, so, this will be an interesting game because on one hand, firstly, you look at the Hurricanes, a young side. They've lacked accuracy in previous weeks. They drew against the Western Force. Ruben Love at first 5. He's generally a fullback, but, they've moved him into first 5, and he's playing decent rugby there, even though he's not a specialist first 5. But, yeah, from me, I just don't have confidence yet that the Hurricanes have turned a leaf and they can be as accurate and brutal in those big moments to win games. So, yeah, and you just look at the Chiefs. Look, they're the best Super Rugby side in New Zealand. Damien McKenzie at first 5. Look, he's playing really well this season, and they're just a well-oiled machine, the Chiefs. So that one there, guys, I'm predicting the Chiefs to win that by 13 points. So a good, comfortable victory to the Chiefs there. The Brumbies versus the Waratahs at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Look, I think firstly, absolute belter this game's going to be, isn't it? Like, genuinely quality Super Rugby sides. You know, you look at the Brumbies with Noah Lolesio, Tom Wright, you know, leading the way for the Brumbies. And then you look at Joseph Su'ali'i for the Waratahs, as well as countless other class players. Both teams are phenomenally going well this season, aren't they? You know, physicality, accuracy, very good sides. I just think, though, this game here in Canberra, home ground advantage, and look, the Brumbies for me are still my number one Aussie side. Like, they have been phenomenal this season, and I just think they've got that ruthless edge. When they need to, they're capable of putting together 15, 20 plus phases, score the winning try in the corner, and win the game. So, look, I think it'll be a close game, that one. Probably won't be a lot in it at half time, but I just think over the 80 minutes, the Brumbies are going to be too strong there. Brumbies by 10 points there. Final game, the Highlanders versus Moana Pasifika in Dunedin. So, yeah, this will be a really interesting game. I think you've got two sort of teams that are not really where they'd like to be at the moment. On their day, they're capable of beating anyone in the Super Rugby comp, but they've just not won those big moments, and you had a few off games in recent weeks. You know, the Landers, particularly Jamie Joseph, like, let me know your thoughts on him. How good has he been this season with the Highlanders? The young talent there that has just risen tenfold. Absolute class coaching by him. And certainly, you know, players like Fabian Holland, like, I am just gobsmacked by how good he has been this season. And then, but you look at the Moana side, you know, they're more than capable of matching the physicality of the Highlanders. It'll be a tough game up the middle. Ardie Savea, assuming he's playing, he'll bring some real confidence to the Moana side, but I just think this game, you know, it'll be a game where the Landers and the Moana side will test each other up the middle. Some brutal physicality from the forward packs up the middle, and then they'll look to shift the ball into space with that predominantly raw physicality up front. This one, it won't be a lot in it. It'll come down to a few key moments. The game could really go either way, to be honest, but I just think the Moana side are due to bounce back. So I'm going to go the Moana side to win that by 5 points. Let me know your thoughts on that prediction, guys. Summary of all 5 games. Firstly, we have the Blues versus the Western Force at Eden Park. And my prediction there, the Blues to win that by 5 points. Game 2, we have the Drua versus the Reds in Suva. I mean, that'll be an absolute belter over in Fiji, but I just think the Reds will be too good, shut down their space, and they're too clinical. So the Reds to win that by 10 points. The Hurricanes versus the Chiefs in Wellington. Yeah, it'll be a real belter of a game. Both sides will really come to play, but I just haven't seen enough from the Hurricanes yet in those big moments to have confidence that they'll win, and they are finalists, etc. So Chiefs to win that one by 13 points. The Brumbies versus the Waratahs down in Canberra. Look, that'll be an absolute belter, but I'm going the Brumbies there to be too clinical and win it by 10 points. And then finally, the Highlanders versus Moana Pasifika down in Dunedin. Moana to win that by 5 points. So, guys, let me know your thoughts on my predictions. Let me know your thoughts on these games coming up. Or let me know your thoughts on Super Rugby so far. It's been a hell of some great games of rugby to watch from me. And guys, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with mates, and enjoy the videos. Cheers.